Shattered to unbreakable. Listen here, sweet sister. Whether you think you have one little crack or you are shattered into a billion pieces, this podcast is going to give you the resources, tools, and skills to help piece yourself back together to form a beautiful, unique, solid, and unbreakable masterpiece. You are listening to Shattered to Unbreakable, the Reclaim Podcast. Let's talk. Hey guys, we have ended the Warrior series and now moving on to Brandi's bookshelf series. So I know I have some books listed in the Reclaim Journal that I love that made a huge impact, and I just wanted to elaborate on a few of those because there are some lessons in there that are gold. So without further ado, let's hop into the Brandi's bookshelf series. Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Shattered to Unbreakable. I am your host, Brandi Babin, and I have the beautiful Aubrey Fowler here with me today, because she is my comic relief and she brings up all the good points that make you think. I like that. Is that what I do? That's what you do. And you make me feel funny. I feel like the energy is good, you know?
I think you're just funny.
I'll take it. So today we're talking about one of another Brandi's bookshelf books. And this is a really good one. Like, Chop Wood Carry Water obviously is one of my favorites. And The Obstacle is the Way is a close second. Like, this book is phenomenal. I can't wait to lead you through some of these topics, but to give you a brief overview, we're going to talk about unconventional routes to success. You know I'm a fan of that. And then Brains Over Brown. I know you've heard it, but there's like this new little twist. And then the last point is, don't just do something, stand there.
I love that one so much.
I know, me too. Okay, so we're going to talk all about these. Let's dive in. Okay, so this book is not that long, but it's like jam-packed with so many things that I want to talk about, and I only had to pick like 3. Because this would be a 2-hour podcast if I picked all the things.
Yeah.
So I have my 3 favorite points, but just so you guys know, if you haven't read this book, it is worth the read 100%. Like, this guy's a genius. So I was half ready to just like bring the book and read from it for the entire podcast. Like, I don't even want you to hear what I have to say. I just want you to hear him. Anyway, so Ryan Holiday is the author. The first thing that caught my eye when I read the book was this like unconventional route to success. Because if you guys know me, you know I'm all like rebellious right now. And I like to break through. I'm spicy. I'm letting that Cajun come out of me. I'm unconventional. I'm rebellious. I'm fighting everything and everyone right now. And actually, our Rebel to Excel episode, I liked that one. That was a good one. So this is like kind of the same idea, this unconventional road to success. Mm-hmm. And so he tells the story about these 2 guys, and they notice that there's this patch of land in this place. I don't remember the details about it that. So there's this like patch of land that is ideal for growing bananas. Mm-hmm. And so both of these fruit companies really want this patch of land. Mm-hmm. So this one guy, I mean, they're looking into it. They notice that there's 2 people that think they own the land. And they're like fighting over who really owns it. Mm. So this first guy is like, okay, well, let's dig up the paperwork and let's hire the lawyers. And, you know, we have the money, so let's just go for it. And this other guy just goes to both of the owners and pays them. Mm. So he paid twice what it was worth. Yeah. But he owns it.
Yep.
I mean, there's like this get it done mentality that's like, you know, screw principle.
Yeah.
Whatever. Let's just get it done. Like, who cares? This is not going to matter in a year from now. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's this like, don't be petty over the details. Just figure it out. Just figure it out and do it. And it might be unconventional. And I know that in the past, I've been a very like, but it's the principle, mm-hmm. you know, and I want to follow the rules and I want to do it. But there are way too many rules in society now. I mean, holy cow. There's a place where it's illegal to chew gum on the sidewalk.
Yep.
Like, legit. Seriously? Come on.
I've heard in my hometown, it's illegal to roll down Main Street in a barrel on Tuesdays.
See?
I could have some of those details wrong, and maybe I totally made it up, but I've used it before. And I just really want to know why Wednesday is okay, and
what's wrong
also
with Tuesday?
What exactly happened to make this a necessity.
Yes,
I want to know
it
that
must
story.
have happened quite often.
It must have.
And it must not have been a problem on Wednesday.
I guess not. I don't know.
See?
I don't know what happened on Tuesdays.
These stinking rules have just got... I mean, starting a business, for example, do you know how many licenses you need? And you have to have the trailer. Like, let's take this food truck thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? This totally made me so mad. So you have to have a trailer in order to get your health department license. Mm-hmm. But before I could make any money, I had to have the health department license to sell anything. Mm-hmm. So you have to start with money for one. And then you have to have a commissary kitchen if you're going to have a food truck. So I tried to get one locally. That didn't work out. So then I went to the next town over. Well, when the health department calls, they said, oh, you can't have a commissary kitchen in the next town over. It has to be in your town. Well, there's only one commissary kitchen in my town, and they don't do business very well. Mm. So now what? I'm just stuck not having this food truck because of legalities and rules. Mm-hmm. This is ridiculous. I have the best food in all the land. I don't understand why this is happening. Like, these rules are ridiculous.
Yep.
And so I'm trying to find all these loopholes, like, well, I'll just sell it out of a tent. Well, I'll just do catering. Well, I'll just do... And, you know, there's plenty of options that I could go with. Mm-hmm. So we're working on that. But the fact is, like, the rules make it impossible. And I'm sure some of you have really good stories about that because it's everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't do this until you have this, but you can't do this until you have this, but you can't do this. Even getting married.
Yes.
To get your name changed.
I was just thinking about that.
You have to do things in a certain order to get your name changed.
So when I changed my name after I got married, I went to the Social Security office. And they said, well, do you have your driver's license? And I said, no. They said I had to have my Social Security card. And the, like, grumble, 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 and they do it. And I don't know, maybe the problem was that I tried to do it on the same day, but like I had gone to the driver's, to the DMV, and they said, well, do you have your Social Security card? And I'm like, well, they want my license. So I was like, what? One of you has to go first.
Yes, exactly. One of you has to go first. Yeah, exactly.
So I don't remember. My name's Fowler now. It's all fine. I don't remember how it happened.
So when I got married, I found it so annoying that I made a marriage change your name checklist and order list with addresses, how much you need, if they accept check, or if can do card, or if they only take cash, where like, and anybody who got married, I was like, this is your gift from me. This is exactly how to change your name, in what order, day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, how much you need, who the right checks out to. Yeah. Like, I did the research for them for wherever they lived. Mm-hmm. Because I found it completely ridiculous. Yep. How many hoops you have to jump through. Yep. And same thing with this roofing business I'm a part of. You have to have your contractor license, and then you have to have an insurance certificate of insurance, but it has to name everybody you work with. And also you have to have your permit, but then before you have your permit, then you have to schedule a mid-roof inspection, but before you have that, you have to... It's just like... You guys make it impossible. It's absolutely impossible. Yeah, it's such a headache that you have to hire a whole nother person to do it. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was really cool how this banana guy was like, okay, well, you're over there messing with paperwork and lawyers, wasting your money. I'm just going to, like, who cares if I overpaid for it? It's mine now. Yeah. And then in order to get his bananas from that patch of land over across this, like, big river to this other place where he could sell it, he needed to build a bridge. Mm-hmm. Well, it's illegal to build a bridge on that river. So he built 2 piers and put a pontoon boat in the middle.
There you go.
And they grumbled about it, but he didn't break the law. Yep. He just found a way. Like, he didn't piss and moan. He just found a way. Yep. Like, I love that. Yeah. There is no obstacle when you think about it like that. Yeah.
That the church that we go to, our lead pastor likes to say, that he has a yes in his spirit. Lead with a yes, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what that means to me. That, like, okay, this is a problem. What is the problem? What do we have? What do we need? Like, let's break this down instead of just like, I don't think we can do that. Yep. You know, like, okay, I can't build a bridge, but I have to get from here to there. Mm-hmm. And there has to be more than one way to do that. So that's not an option. Fine. We're not going to think about that anymore. Right. Now what do we do?
Yeah. And instead of like arguing with them or trying to change the law, it's just like, all right, can't have a bridge. Yeah. We can have 2 piers and a boat, though. Yeah. You know, like, come on. Just think it. And I love that. And my kids always try to tell me, Mom, I can't do that. I can't do that. I'm like, you know what? There's never a can't. There's always a way. There's always a way to do something. So I loved that.
Yep.
The second thing that I wanted to talk about was this brains over brawn idea. Obviously, we've all heard of this, but I love that he was talking about like this size factor, and you can relate it to a lot of different things. Like there's the whole David and Goliath or whatever, but he's more so referencing people who, I think the obstacle in the way is he's talking more to business owners who are trying to be successful. So, and I could be dead wrong. Sorry, Ryan Holiday, if that's not what you meant. My bad. But I read it as that way. Like, actually, I first read it when I was going through this, like, really trial-ridden time in my life. And my sister was like, you have to read this book. Thank God, because I don't know if I would have made it without this book. But I was also aspiring to be an entrepreneur. So it kind of fit both. But it talks about having this size and feeling like you have to be this size in order to win anything. And he related it to battles in war. And so he was talking about some of the greatest victories came from more of a strategy than this like brute strength.
Yep.
And so he was talking about some of the wars overseas where it's like really cold climate. Basically, all they did was just evade the enemy long enough for the cold to kill them. Yeah. They weren't equipped for that atmosphere. And then he was talking, like he put a stat in there where they said that 6 out of the 280 battles that were won were attacking the main camp. The rest of them were all the 92% of battles won in wars were strategy or picking off little bits at a time. Just little bits, little bits, little bits. And so that was really interesting to me because it makes me think, you know, there might be bigger businesses than you. There might be people that know more than you. There might be people who are more famous than you. There always will be. Yeah. But nobody gets to that big place by doing this big attack. It's always just like, let's just do a little bit at a time. Eventually it will turn out in a victory if we just don't give up.
Yeah. And I think that's hard. That's the hard part, right? Because, like, we're not going to go to bed tonight and then wake up tomorrow with, like, Kelly Clarkson. It'd be cool if you did, though, calling us to, like, be on her show. That's just not, it's not going to happen. It's stair steps. And it's the waiting that you and I talked about before. That waiting period is hard. Very. And it's hard to see that growth. Like, anybody with kids that your parents don't live immediately in the vicinity, right? They see your kids a few months at a time. They're like, oh my goodness, they've grown like 6 inches. And you're like, have they?
I didn't notice.
Because you see them every day. So you may not see the growth that's happening, the little bits every time. Right. But that doesn't mean it's not happening.
Absolutely. And it has to be discouraging just like thinking about this war thing to see a huge army and you're just like this little group of people. Yeah. And you're like, I think we're all going to die. Yeah. But then like finding a way to go attack a small bit of them that weren't expecting you or, you know, just strategizing ways to tire them out or put them in an environment where they can't survive and you have this like leg up. So it's this like idea of, and maybe it's just because I'm small, like I'm a small person, and I think it's very encouraging as a small person to be like, wait, I can win battles just by strategizing. Yes. But and then it just ties into that first point that we made is like there's always a way, no matter how small you are. And sometimes size is a hindrance. I was just talking to a business owner because we have not started with money in Reclaim. No. We have had to bootstrap and just build from nothing. And those are always the stories that people are interested in. Yeah. They're not interested in a story where this millionaire was like, yeah, I started a company. Cool, right? It's so successful. They're like, no, I want the comeback story. Yeah. I want the person who, you know, worked in their garage building computer chips by hand and then became Apple, you know? Yep. Like, that's what people want to hear. And so that size factor in this hard work, it actually boosts your story because it's it's a story. It's something worth listening to.
Yeah.
And I was just talking to a business owner that said, like, yeah, we started with money. We could do the marketing. We could do the red carpet effects. We could do all the things. And then last year we dried up.
Yep.
And now I have to relearn how to run my business without money.
Yep.
And I just thought, wow, I never had money. Like, I will never have to learn how to run my business off of nothing because I know how from day one. And that might be a huge factor, a key to my success in the future because I know to be careful with money. Because and even just in life, living without money, you learn how to figure it out.
Yep.
So then when you do have money, it's almost you're appreciating it more. You're intentional with it. You don't waste it. Like, everything has a place and a purpose and aligns with your mission. So yeah, that part was just like, ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
So before we go into the third one, let's hear from our sponsors real quick, and then we'll be right back with my favorite part.
For all women everywhere, it is time that you learn how to live and love confidently, to have the self-worth, to no longer settle for a less than love, and live totally in alignment with the woman that you know yourself to be. My name is Bree Wolta. I'm a relationship clarity coach, EFT certified practitioner, and I am currently enrolling only 4 women into my signature group coaching container called Becoming. I will guide you as you work through the mind of confusing relationships and heal alongside other women who get it, so that you can become the best version of yourself and attract and hold healthy love. We start this September, so schedule your free session so that you can experience my work and see if Becoming is aligned for you.
Okay, welcome back. So this third point is my favorite, and I think it's because of the analogy. Like, if things have a very good metaphorical analogy that I can imagine, I'm like, yes, and it sticks in my mind forever. I think that's why I love the book Chop Wood, Carry Water, because so many good stories in that book. But this is another good story. So this is my strategy that has worked to perfection in the last 3 years of my life. And it's because I read this book that I was able to execute it. That and brain spotting. Brain spotting was huge. But thank God my sister told me to read this book. I was beside myself. That point of my life was a complete nightmare in every moment. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to talk to. I felt like I couldn't get help. And if I did, I sounded crazy. I didn't know what to do. So this next point is sometimes the answer is the opposite of what you think it is. And I'm not talking about ignoring intuition.
Right.
I'm talking about ignoring anxiety in a way that's like, there's nothing I can do about it. So why am I worrying about it? Like, keep things in your control,
Yeah.
because the anxiety is just going to freeze you. I mean, there's no point in curling up in a ball and crying on the floor.
Right.
There's nothing that's going to come of that. So what this is I like that he says this, don't just do something, stand there. And what he's talking about is sometimes restraint is the answer.
Yes.
Sometimes the fight is not the answer.
Right.
Although we just did the Warrior series a while back, and I love to fight. Not literally. I love to fight rebelliously. Anyway, so what he's saying is sometimes restraint is the best answer. Sometimes you need to let the obstacle fizzle itself out. Sometimes you need to let that obstacle fight itself so hard that it looks stupid. You know who you are. That was fun. Okay. So some of the examples he used were Gandhi, obviously. He was a very peaceful fighter. There was no way Gandhi could have been intimidating or, snidey or snarky or spicy.
Yeah.
So that didn't win wars for Gandhi, but this peaceful protest did. And I just think that's the coolest thing. And then another example he talks about, which I think is a really great one for me, just because I like the idea of my enemy just like tiring themselves out trying to attack me, is this story of Alexander the Great and this amazing horse that he had for 20 years. And his dad could never tame the horse, but at a very young age, Alexander the Great tamed the horse. And the way he did it was just letting the horse ride out. Just there's no way the horse is going to listen to your commands. It's not trainable. So he just got on and stayed on until the horse got tired. At that point, the horse didn't even have the energy to fight him anymore.
Yep.
So that has been my tactic in my life when somebody's trying to attack me. In a sense that if I'm really not in danger because I have control over myself and my life, my choices and what's going on, go ahead, try to attack me.
Yep.
Go for it. You're going to look so dumb and you're going to get so tired and people are going to see right through you. And that has really worked well.
Yeah.
Like really well.
Yeah. You know what that made me think of? I don't remember where I heard it, but like just because somebody invites you to an argument doesn't mean you have to accept the invitation.
Exactly. There's another reel that's like, she's like, what is the best advice you've ever heard or something? And she said, never to argue with stupid people. And the girl goes, I disagree. And she goes, you're right. I was like, that's so good.
Yes.
That's so good. But I try to tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, look, you don't have to be right in the moment. Like, you know you're right in here and in here.
Yeah.
You don't have to prove to the world that you're right because literally the only thing that matters is your own opinion. And I, you know, I don't know how conducive this is to parenting, but I tell my kids that all the time. Unfortunately, my kids have very differing views at the two houses, you know? So they have to be able to think for themselves.
Yeah.
Because if they have two parents telling them completely opposite things, those poor kids are going to be so confused. And so I've just tried to equip them with, hey, you're going to hear something different at mom's house than you are at dad's house.
Yeah.
Now it's your job to decide what you want to believe. And I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong.
Yeah.
I believe what I believe. Dad believes what he believes. You get to believe what you believe. You get to believe what you believe.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to know that you don't have to win arguments. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You can just sit there and let them get it out. And then change the subject. Who cares if they agree with you or not?
Yeah. I've been using that tactic with my kids, and it's not the same situation at all. Like, I'm still married to their father.
Right.
And we have similar beliefs on most things, but like they'll ask me questions like, are mermaids real? Are aliens real? I'm like, you know what? I don't believe they are. And that's how I answer that instead of just a yes or a no.
Right.
Because honest truth, I've never been to space.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I don't believe that they are.
Right.
So that's what I say.
Well, and I've told my kids, like, yeah, I'll tell you what I believe. Or if I don't want them to know what I believe because I really truly want to know what they believe, I'll just say, well, what do you think?
Yeah.
And I learned that in Love and Logic. I love that book. It's such a good book. And it talks about if a kid paints you a picture and they come show you and you're like, oh, I love it, but they hate it, then they distrust your opinion now.
Yeah.
And if you try to say, like, if you try to argue with them because you're trying to encourage them, if they're like, I don't like the arms, they're too skinny, and you're trying to say, I think they're perfect. Like, they are distrusting you now because you're not giving them validation to their opinion on their own picture. They drew it.
Right.
So it's what it says is, like, just ask them. If they bring you a picture, be like, oh, thank you. What did you draw me? And then they say, and then you say, instead of, I love it, say, do you love it? And if they love it, then feel free to be like, I love it too.
Yeah.
You know, but if they're like, I hate it, then you could be like, well, what do you hate about it? And then make it a conversation versus like, oh, well, I love it. So not like there's anything wrong with either one. I just think it's a really cool concept to allow them to come up with their own belief system so that when they're adults and somebody tells them blah, 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 they can be like, oh, that's interesting that you think that. I feel this way.
Yeah.
Like, and they don't have to conform to anybody else's beliefs.
Yeah.
So that's my favorite part of the book.
I love that too. And you know, that made me think of, I've heard this suggestion that when a child learns something new or completes a task or whatever, you say it like, oh, you must be so proud, instead of I'm so proud of you, which honestly I do a little bit of both because I want them to be proud of their own accomplishments, but I also don't want them to be chasing approval because we're going to. As humans, we want people to like us. It's part of that tribe mentality. Like, we feel like if we're ejected from the tribe, that's a survival thing, right? So I want them to know that I am proud of them, but I don't want them to like live and die by that.
Yeah.
So I do both. I like to like, oh, are you so proud? How do you feel? You know, like, Mom, I did it. That's great. How do you feel?
Right.
You know, and sometimes they'll just volunteer. I feel so proud. I bet you do. I'm proud of you too. You know, like,
that's so good. I love that.
And it was great advice. I'm glad that I did not come up with it. But that just like forming their own opinions about their own selves as well.
You know, it makes me think of so the kids just did mutton busting for the first time.
Yeah.
That is not for moms to watch, by the way. If your kids do mutton busting, you need to look the other way and watch the videos after when you know they're okay. I was a wreck. Anyways, all 4 of my kids did it. 9, he was 7 at the time, 6, and 4-year-old. Okay? The challenging part came afterwards. My daughter won the whole thing. That was cool.
Yeah.
She deserves praise for winning, I think. She got a trophy. It's very cool that her very first time she won.
Yeah.
My son got second. I didn't know how to be like, okay, Emma deserves praise for being first, but Elijah also deserves praise for being second. I don't want him to think that only first place deserves praise.
Right.
I also don't want him to think that if he wanted first, that second is okay if he wants to be first and work for it. So I was just like beside myself on that whole dynamic. And then my daughter Jovi, she made it like 3 seconds, which is long for a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
And she did great. And so I praised her. And then my son Isaiah, he lasted maybe half a second. And I didn't want to negate his performance. And so, like, this was like a mom dilemma of, like, how do I treat this? I want Isaiah to know that I'm very proud of him for even trying. Yeah. Because it's a very brave thing to do when you're seeing kids get stepped on and stuff, falling off, getting dirt all in their face and their mask. And they had, like, these bulletproof vest looking things on and this caged helmet, and it was really cool to see them do something new. But, you know, Jovi was devastated after because she like rolled, and of course that hurts, you know. So I didn't know what to do. And then like later on when I'm explaining to family like how they all did, I'm like, Emma won, and they were like, really? I'm like, well, how did he got second? And then I felt like, okay, how am I going to fit in Jovi and Isaiah? And then Isaiah's thinking, well, I did the worst. And I'm like, well, it really, and I don't say it like it doesn't matter, but it does matter to him. So, like, I didn't know what to do. Yeah. I didn't know what to do. It's hard. I still don't know what to do about it. I just know that I talked to each of them about it. Jovi will never do it again, she says. She's like, nope, once was good. Isaiah wants to do it again because he didn't last very long. He was like, I feel like I could have done better. We talked about being happy for someone for winning, even if we don't. Yeah. That was Elijah's lesson. Elijah was it was hard for him he kept saying, Mom, I want to do it again. I want to win. I want to do it again. I want to win. Buddy, winning is not always what's most important. Yes, it's great. It's fun to win. It feels good to win. You can work on it. You've never done this. You didn't even train. You haven't watched any videos. You have no idea how to do this. You literally just hopped on a sheep and hoped for the best. So it's not like you worked at this. Yeah. I don't know how Emma won. I think it's just because she's just so scrappy. Like, this sheep face planted into the dirt, so did she. And she still held on, and the sheep got up, and they went. Like, she is a beast. I would honestly be a little afraid of her if she was really mad at me. She's... Like, if she came at me, I would be concerned. She's my inner ego of a fighter on my, like, just outwardly. And she went underneath the sheep and got stepped on and hurt. Yeah. And I was like, Emma, that's why you're supposed to push off if you're falling so you don't get hurt. And in tears, she goes, I don't want to avoid pain. I want to win. I was like, Okay. Okay. I don't have anything to say to that.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see the dynamic of all 4 kids.
Yeah.
Like, one did better than expected, but didn't even place. One did worse than expected, but I still wanted him to be proud of himself.
Yeah.
One unexpectedly won her very first time. That never happens.
Yeah.
And the other got second, but still had a great performance. It's like, shoot, guys, I don't know. Like, I'm proud of all of you because I'm your mom.
Yep.
Scared me to death. I'll never watch it again. But it's like they each had to learn such a crazy lesson.
Yeah.
And it was hard to watch some of them learn it because it was kind of painful. And then to know what to say. And so I think my message to this is like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing, and you don't have to either. We're just here to give you tips.
Yeah. Well, the second point I think you made, I don't know.
Brains over brawn?
Maybe.
Unconventional route of distress? Sometimes the answer is the opposite of what you think. Don't just do something, stand there.
That one. She was going to get to it eventually. That one. I think that's great advice for this, right?
That's true.
I think what kids need to know is that you're there. When they're upset, you're there. When you're happy, you're there.
Yeah.
So just knowing that he can be disappointed.
Right.
And you're going to be there.
Yeah.
And he can also feel disappointed and proud at the same time.
Yeah.
And you're going to be there. And if he decides he's never doing it again, like Jovi, then
you're going to be there.
that's fine.
Support
and
that.
so I think, I think that's the lesson for me. That's what I'm taking away from
That's
this
true,
story.
because I didn't know what to do, so I did just stand there.
Yeah.
But I kind of made sure that everybody was heard.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted Emma to not have her glory taken by, the distraughtness of her siblings for not doing well. She deserved praise. She got first place. She got a trophy. She deserves to be proud of that.
Yep.
And to tell people about it without feeling bad. And then Elijah had to learn a lesson about not winning and putting forth effort next time. And if you really want to do something, work hard at it. And your best was your best. And it doesn't matter if it's not first.
Yep.
And then, and so on and so forth. Being able to be happy for somebody else. And then Isaiah being able to realize that he just didn't quite understand what was going on.
Yeah.
And that if he did it again, it would probably go better.
Yeah.
But still being proud of doing something scary.
Yeah.
And then Jovi, I don't know what she learned. I think she just learned that falling hurts.
And sometimes you learn that's not for me. And
I
that's
can't
okay.
believe she even tried it. I was like, Jovi, are you sure you want to do this? And I even asked the lady, I was like, she's only 4. Are you sure she can do this? And then she's like, we have 2-year-olds up here. I was like, no, you don't.
I really want to know who started that. Who was like, you know what? Let me just take this toddler and strap him to this sheep to see what happens. I want to, like, where did mud busting come from?
Have you ever been, like, on a ranch with, like, crazy ranch boys?
Not... I grew up in like a kind of a ranching community, but my family didn't, and I was never like involved in the process with any of the other families.
Yeah, much like anything in rodeo, it all started from somebody saying, I wonder if we can... Like, if they're bored or there's not much going on right now, or they have to wait for something in order to do something, they just make stuff up. It's like, hey, how long you think you can ride that sheep?
Honestly, kids climb up on everything anyway.
Yeah.
So, like...
There's, like, pig riding, sheep riding.
Yep.
They ride each other sometimes.
Yes.
Anyway, how long did this episode end up?
Did I have to leave the room this time? I don't know. We're at 33 minutes.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. This really was a fun episode for me, you guys. I love this book. I honestly recommend you guys just take a peek at it. The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. It's on my bookshelf for a reason. It saved so much heartache and stress and strife in my life during a hard moment. So if you guys are going through some break glass, you should definitely check out this book. Thank you for joining us today. We loved leaving you with extra resources at the end, and we do have some brand new things coming out. One of them we're very excited about is a monthly self-discovery or self-care subscription box. So you pay every month, you get a pretty box with all kinds of wonderful things in it, including self-care instructions, things to help you relax, like bath salts and candles, and of course there's tea. Of course there's tea. We talk about tea all the time. So you will have a tea sample in that box that relates to whatever we're doing that month. So we're very excited to bring that to you. Another thing is with your Reclaim Journal, we're noticing that there is a need for people who learn differently. So we've created an online DIY course. So you can watch, listen, and read your journal and do the exercises along with me. There are also 2 bonus exercises in the course that are not in the journal. So check that out. You can go to reclaimjournal.com or you can go to stand.store/reclaim your story. That's what it is called, the Reclaim Your Story course. So I'm not going to confuse you with any more information than that, but if you want more on brain spotting, coaching, and all the other things that we do, go to reclaimjournal.com and browse around. We're excited to see you next week. Stay sparkly, sweet sister.